right, if you just joined us, you're still on to Enterprise Morning, reaching you from Enterprise Television. Let's get to our conversation for today. The Nigerian Senate has approved the 2025 to 2027 medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper, outlining a total expenditure of 47.9 trillion naira.
And this includes a new borrowing plan of 9.22 trillion naira, covering both domestic and foreign sources. The framework was presented by Senator Sani Musa, Chairman of the Senate Committee on Finance, during a plenary session.
Key projections include an exchange rate of 1,400 naira to the dollar, an oil price set at $75, $76.2, and $75.3 per barrel for 2025, 2026, and 2027 respectively. Daily oil production is targeted at 2.06 million and 2.10 million, also 2.35 million barrels over the 3-year
And
term.
the framework estimates at 15.38 trillion naira for debt servicing, 1.443 trillion naira for pensions and retirees' benefits, and a fiscal deficit of 13.08 trillion naira. And GDP growth rates are projected at 4.6%, 4.4% and 5.5% for the respective year.
Capital expenditure is set at 16.48 trillion naira, excluding transfers. Statutory is transfer are 4.26 trillion, while the sinking fund and recurrent non-debt expenditure are projected at 430.27 billion naira and 14.21 trillion naira respectively.
And moving on, the MTEF forms the foundation for Nigeria's annual budget over the 3-year period.
Very well. So let's have our conversation for today. And still with us in the studio is Barrister Tunji Abdulhamid and Emeka Madunago. Thank you, gentlemen, for hanging on.
Yeah, my pleasure.
We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yes, so I would love to start with you, Emeka Madunago. If you may, all that we have said here, one thing with the budget in Nigeria is whenever it's read out, it's often complicated. It takes someone who truly does understand it to fleshing that out. Please help us make that simple.
Yeah, the simple thing is just a 3-year guideline, a framework for medium-term economic framework within which government projects that it will be able to do government business. So looking at the strategies it will use to achieve its objectives. The objectives outlined in the MTEF, which includes a borrowing plan of 9.22 trillion. Then it looks at oil production targets of 2.0. By the way, the borrowing framework is for 2025, 2026, 2027. So to break it down, the framework projects GDP growth rates of 4.6%. 4.4% and 5.5% for 2025, 2026, 2027. It projects increased oil production in targets, of 2.06 million 2025, 2.10 million 2026, 2.35 million barrels per day, for 2027. And capital expenditure, it looks at 16.48 trillion for capital expenditure, which is really ambitious, which is really ambitious. But if you put the Lagos-Calabar Highway, which is 15 trillion, of course, this is nothing. This is just a drop in the ocean. But well, we leave that. But the problem with some of this with an ambitious plan like that is that it's basically focused on borrowing. 9.22 trillion will increase Nigeria's debt burden and make the central bank to keep increasing interest rates. As a matter of fact, it's also going to further, impoverish the people, because you see the biggest markers of the biggest marker of inflation is government overspending. Yes, when government overspends, government goes into increasing interest rates. You see inflation, and then purchasing power is eroded. The currency also loses strength, which is what we're having. It's basically about government overspending. Now, the other thing is this, dependence on oil. We're depending too much on oil. Oil. When will we go beyond, depending on how many million barrels per day? When will we do that? Then the final thing is, inflation. Inflation. Why? The inflation rate projection is, the projections are 15.75%, 14.21%, and 10.04%, which will significantly erode purchasing power. We've been talking of bringing inflation down to single digits, But look at Western nations, look at leading nations of the world that still have inflation within 1.5% to 2%. See how people are crying that it moved. I think it was in the UK that inflation moved from 1.5% to 2%. See how people were crying. Then look at Nigeria, where inflation is eyeing 40%. So the MTF, I don't know, sadly, with due respect to the Senate, I think some of these laws they pass, they don't really put too much thought into them. They don't know much intellectual rigor goes into assessing these things. So it's just garbage in, garbage out. And I'm telling you, this thing, like I was discussing with Barrister before the program started, is just, one book, one document that they will just throw to the side and do what they like.
Thank you, Emeka Madnago. Now, Barrister Sunji, let's just have a debate. Now, let's look at it from this angle. And I want to quote what Mr. Olamiliko said. He said, with the commencement of the Port Harcourt refinery, the demand for forex will drop. Ojo Zakalu is saying that Nigerians should not actually do business in dollar. They should do with naira so that they could increase the naira strength. And also, they are saying that the GDP would increase come 2025, 2026, 2027, looking at the projection. And many of the lawmakers are also demanding that there should be reduction in the petrol prices since the Port Harcourt refinery has commenced operation. How well can these things work if there are no structures in place? Because they have been talking about all these things, but they have not actually said, okay, this is the structure and the plan they have in place for all these things to work to even increase the GDP, looking at the money they're going to borrow. How well do we see this affecting Nigeria come from now to 2027?
You see, we have people in government who talk as if they are just ordinary Nigerians. Or they are just people, they also tell you the problem people are complaining of, not the solutions. We have people who will be in government and will talk as if the responsibility of providing solution to the issue on ground is not theirs. It's just for them to tell us what is on ground. These are good talk. Some of them are things people are looking forward to. But how do we achieve it? Just like you said, they are supposed to provide solution to it. They are the leader. They have the responsibility of leading us, of providing policies, of approving policies that will lead to this. They are not doing so. When we talk about people trading in dollars, is it ordinary Nigeria that are trading in dollars? Chairman, when did you trade in dollars? Those who are in leadership position are the ones doing so. And there are the same people talking about it, saying this. So for me, it's just they are just playing to the gallery, as far as I'm concerned. And just like he said, the medium term is just a mere paperwork, just to fulfill their all righteousness. In other words, the law says we must do this, we must do that, and then they are trying to bring it out. There is no proper intention of following it up, because if you are budgeting 6 point something trillion, how much again for capital?
16.9 for
capital expenditure, and you have a particular project that will cost you 15 point something trillion. What are you talking about? You are not doing proper planning. If you talk about, if you say you are projecting, and you say you assess it at 1,400 naira per dollar or something, when we know that today exchange rate is 1,700 plus, so you are projecting below the existing. You are planning to fail. When you talk about increasing your production. Our production from to 2 point something a million per barrel or something like that. I can't remember the particular number figure they mentioned. When we are currently doing 1 point something, and for years not able to cross it. So are you not deceiving yourselves? So I think I'm not concerned. I'm not bothered. I'm not one of those who say who agree with Mr. My colleague that relying on oil alone is our problem. It's not.
What is it?
It's not. There are so many countries who rely on oil alone and they are doing well. Our problem is not spending the money the way it should be spent. Our problem is spending the money for personal expenses. We are talking about a country that is not doing well, that is looking for money, that is borrowing money, and we are talking about buying private jets. We are talking about buying SUVs. We are talking about buying yachts. For who? For those in government, not for the people. So it's priority as on spending that's affecting us.
But does it look like, yes, does it look like some of these politicians intentionally do not want this country to work? Or is it oversight? Because we need to understand why these people are doing this to us.
No, I think the country is about, by default, now about personal interest. Not about, everybody's now thinking about what is the gain in it for me. It's not about what is the gain for the people. Most of the people in government today are not thinking about what people will benefit, what they will benefit, is what they are thinking. And because of the way and manner they came into power. Because some of them is like they bought it. Some of them is like they actually pay for it. And then one of the projects being policies being put out by the government, policies that only attract, that are only beneficial to few people. And government is thinking they are doing well. Government, and that's another problem we're having. A situation whereby government will not tell itself the truth. That this is not working or we're not doing well. You can't get solution to it. But when you are doing something and you believe that thing is working, and people are not seeing it, then there's no way you have solution to that problem. So those who are talking, who are saying the fair price should go down or whatever, that we should not be spending dollar or whatever, who are those spending it? Who are those that will ensure that this price comes down? Who are those that will give pressure to the government? Because those who are saying that as a member of the National Assembly, they are supposed to put pressure on the government, the executives, to do this. Are they doing that? Is it about telling us or about taking steps to ensure that these are done? For me, we only talk and we don't walk it. We need to be walking the talk. We have good policies. We have good programs. We are not lacking that. If you are talking about people bringing out policy, bringing out framework, bringing out the guidelines or whatever, we have enough of it. But what we're lacking is the implementation of those policies the way it should be implemented. Look at the student loan. To the government now, they are successful. To me, they are not. But I know, because as an individual, I tell you, I have up to not less than 15 students hanging on my neck to pay their school fees.
That the students would have taken care of.
Federal university. And we're talking, and I was just asking, what happened to the school loan? The loan is not enough. The number of students who are not able to pay school fees are more than the number of people who are benefiting from it now. You can't increase school fees and say with time everybody will benefit. It must be. Are you saying they will now have to wait or suspend their schooling when they will come to their turn? Because you cannot meet up with everybody now. That is the issue. You see, and I also imagine a situation whereby the federal university is now competing with the private university in terms of school fees. And unfortunately, again, I am privileged to have my children in private universities. They pay 2 or thrice. They allow them to pay instrumentally. Federal university they don't allow that. You must pay once. Wow. And we are talking about money that is bigger than people now. We are paying like say 50K before. Now you are paying like 200, 300 and so
400.
No, I'm just trying to say minimum, depending on the course you are doing. I know a private university that if you are not reading law, your school fees is no more than 500,000. A private university that if you are not reading law, law is only law that costs above 1 million naira. Other courses are like 500, 600. So what is the difference between that private university and a private and a public university? And in that private university, even with that 600,000, you can pay it twice. You can pay it twice. The federal university you cannot. So I have so many issues in that regard. So these policies are creating more problems. You will say you want to solve one problem and you create another or more major problems. Just like subsidy, the government want to ensure that they allocate few people benefiting from it, but they now create problems to entire.
I was about coming to that subsidy, and I want to ask Emeka Madinago because I want to read out something here. Now, it was brought to the notice that they are yet to probe the failed remitted $2 billion. That is about 3.6 trillion naira that the federal government did not pay in taxes. That's the NNPC failed to pay in taxes to the federal government. Now, the senator noted that his committee would verify the total cumulative amount of unremitted revenue from the sale of premium motor spirits by the NNPC between 2020 to 2023. Now, they have this problem that have not been tackled, but they hurriedly want to collect a loan. Why not tackle this issue? And how well, if they are yet to remit this, how well are we going to say the Port Harcourt refinery will function under the leadership of the NNPC and still be transparent?
Thank you very much. First of all, I'll just tell you, don't put hope on Port Harcourt refinery. Because 60,000 liters per day cannot even take care of River State. No, it's true now. I mean, as of last year,
and they won't be able to deliver that per day.
No, let's even hope. In Nigeria, we pray a lot.
Let's even
assume. Last year they said our demand was 64 million, liters per day. Now, NNDPRA came out to say some months ago that it had dropped to 4.5 million liters per day. So what is 60,000? 60,000 cannot even take care of the generators running in River State, barbers and the rest of them, hairdressers and restaurants and all those bars and lounges and the rest of them. So it's not going to do anything to our forex. It's just a drop in the ocean. One person, even one company, can actually buy everything.
And say supply to us for 1 year.
Yes, just buy everything, and just forget about it and be using it to power their vehicles and plants and all of that. So, yes, we are talking of tax. And there is a very simple way to go around it. We have invented what we call tax credits. It was on that basis that Dangote, for instance, was able to fix the Papa Oshodi or Oshoki Expressway using concrete. And people have been commending the quality of that road.
Very well.
Tax credits, So, you see, instead of us coming to say that NNPC didn't do it, you know what? NNPC actually has a means of settling those tax liabilities. You convert it to tax credits for them and give them, let them now tell you within what time frame they are going to discharge the obligations within the tax credits. Because if you look at it, what's the value of the money? This was money that, as at 2020 to 2023, what was the exchange rate? What is the exchange rate today? As at 2023, the exchange rate was it not 750, black market. Official rate was 400 and something, 450. Then now, you are telling them to pay tax liabilities when the dollar is 1,740. Of course, it's going to be a deficit. So instead, convert it to tax credits and let them use it to sort out some of these are problems where we have issues with roads. They can actually employ Dangote Refinery now, or RCC, or any of them, to say, okay, over this road is crucial. Like that Lagos-Calabar highway could have been given to NNPC. Okay, use your tax liabilities to fix it. They know how they will source the money. It is very easy. Sourcing funding.
That is even a mistake. Sorry for cutting you.
Sorry. I didn't get you.
I think that Calabar.
No, we pray a lot in Nigeria. But understand me, we are assuming positively, just for the sake of argument. What I'm saying is this: even if it is railway, whatever it is, at least road, we know that road infrastructure is a major need in Nigeria. Even if it is for farming, to say, okay, we are going to use this money to increase or to fund the Ministry of Livestock Development, or whatever, but convert it to tax credit. So in that way, you will not lose the value of that money. You understand what I'm saying? So then secondly, we are talking about a situation where people are saying, do business in Naira. But everything you are doing, budget, you are predicating it on borrowing in dollars. How does it make sense? I mean, these people, I don't understand what happens to them. You are going to borrow in dollars, and you say the person you are borrowing from, you are going to be selling oil to him in Naira. How does it work? You are going to kill your business. In fact, you are writing off your business. What you should do instead is this. And I actually buy the argument of Barrister, that the idea that we're depending too much on oil and all that. But what I'm saying is this. We can diversify our sources of revenue. Then we need, like Barrister said, we need better management of our resources. We need better management of our debt liabilities. We can actually work out debt forgiveness deals. If Nigeria, instead of going about begging for, if we can actually mount a debt forgiveness campaign, we will get countries in the ACP, African, Caribbean, and Pacific nations, that will back us up. Okay, but the thing is this: are you ready
you
to
want
be
to borrow money from me, and you are buying private jets? And I'm using B2s.
Yes.
I mean, I want to borrow you money. I'm using B2s.
Bicycle.
You are using
B2. You are
using Range Rover.
The British Prime Minister uses a bicycle.
I'll be writing off your debts. Are you not?
The British Prime Minister Boris Johnson was using a bicycle now. So as a mayor of London. So what I'm saying is, you refuse to be responsible, and you think people will continue. All these countries will continue to give you money. Do you know how much we are getting in aid every year? Every year, the money we get in aid that disappears. The money we get in grants that disappears. Do you know there are some other things that we have actually been getting money from? You know, this year alone, you know, in this year, governors got refund from Paris Club. Paris Club deductions. They got refunds. Governors got refunds from different sources. That if there are people who were to sit down and calculate this thing, let me tell you, no governor will remain alive. I'm telling you the truth. The money governors have received this year alone is unprecedented.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Let me also add to what you have said. If you look at the money some governors have collected in terms of water project support, you will expect that everywhere in this country, particularly in Lagos State, there should be pipe-borne water everywhere. Do you see them?
What about watershed?
And there has been so many supports for this from the World Bank. I know of Lagos State. I know they've collected so much money from the World Bank in terms of for water projects. Are we seeing water? No. So these are the things. So this is why I said, even if you have 10 line of sources of income, and we are behaving the way we are behaving, we are spending the way we are spending, it will still remain the same or the same.
Yes.
Is it ever possible for us to press the rewind button? Is it ever possible for us to press that button that takes us to the beginning so we can start making amends for the future? Is it ever possible?
Where is the beginning? That is the question that we have to ask first. Where are we talking about? Where is the
Let's
beginning we're talking about?
The First Republic.
Is it 1999? Is it
no,
before 1999?
Before 1999. Let's take you to the 60s.
because you see, the problem I have is that we deceive ourselves based on sentiment and interest. I remember when the former president Buhari was in power, when people were complaining that this government is not leading us anywhere. Those who are in government today were saying those are enemies of the country, that they should give him time, that he's doing well, that he's laying proper foundation. The same set of people are now in government today. They are now repeating what people were saying at that time, that this man was not leading us anywhere. They were now saying to us now that the last administration has destroyed every foundation that we have in our country. That's why I say, where do we start from? Because if you are looking at the situation on ground now, we should start from ourselves individually, our attitudes and the culture of encouraging corruption. Because every Nigerian now sees corruption as a normal thing. And that's why Adam Oshiomhole will be saying it's better to have 774 thieves than have one individual big thieves. So that is it, because we have now legalized corruption. We now see corruption as in fact, some people as an individual, when you see somebody who's collecting 30,000 as salary and is building a house worth millions of naira, over 10 million, 50 million, you complain, they will say you are jealous, you are a jealous person.
Say it's grace.
So, and they will say blessing. If you are employed in NNPC today, people will not say, this man is going to give his, they will say he has been blessed. In other words, automatically he's a multi-millionaire. His salary is not up to million, but they have already seen him as multi-millionaire. So maybe we should start from that. If we want to go into research, we should reset from our individual attitude and thinking. Yeah. Those who think they are saints, those who think they are elites, those who think they know they are good, and staying away from governance or staying away from or being concerned about governance are not helping us as well. Because when you leave governance to people you think are bad, people you think they are wicked, because people will talk now and say politicians are wicked, politicians are bad people, and you allow these politicians to continue doing what they are doing or to be in charge, then you can. So maybe we'll start what's it called, from that area. Then probably we'll now think about the policies and the programs. But as it is today, mindset of every Nigeria cannot get us to anywhere.
Very well said. I just hope that we all will be alive. We'll be alive at least to see that Nigeria.
No, we know how to adjust. In fact, we are adjusting now. In fact, from Nigeria today, if fair price is reduced from 1,000 something that we are buying for now to 900, people will celebrate. So we have adjusted.
Okay.
All right, people, that's just about the time we have. Love to say thank you to Emeka Madunago for being part of our show. Barrister Tunji, thank you.
Thank you.
So very much.
Thank you for having me.
Choma, thank you as always.
Thank you, Harry.
All right. So we're about to close shop now. Love to say thank you to you for making this picture complete. But please do well to visit us. You can always find and reach us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. I am Henry Igubike.
And I'm Choma Okoro.
Thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye-bye.